Tom, congratulations on your 1,000th program. I'm sure you're going to have a great event. Continue with your work. The people need it.
Congratulations, Tom Woods. Today, not about your brilliant work as an historian, as an economist, as an orator, many other fields, Catholic liturgy perhaps being first among them, but about your work as an internet radio star, in addition to everything else you do. Quite amazing, you've done 1,000 episodes of the show. It's not only so important from an ideological standpoint, from the standpoint of the cause of freedom, but it's so entertaining. It's just it's a tremendous achievement. 1,000 episodes, keep it up. I'm looking forward to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. We need more Woods.
Hey Tom, congratulations on the 1,000th episode of your show. That's wonderful. You know, I would have been available to come help, but I guess you wanted to do everything by yourself. I hear Michael Malice I guess he was just like down the street on some other business, and that's... Anyway, maybe you could use me for episode number 2,000. You know where to find me.
Too obvious. Oh, wow. Hi, Tom. I didn't know you were here. Congratulations on your 1,000th episode. After that first guest, I figured the whole thing was going to be a flop. But seriously, what an amazing accomplishment. Here's to you, and I'll see you on episode 1001.
Hey, Tom, Glenn Jacobs. Wow, 1,000 podcast episodes. Does anyone realize how impressive that is? I mean, if you were a Keynesian and we adjusted for inflation, that would be like 10 billion podcast episodes. Very impressive. Congratulations.
Hi, Tom, it's Peter Schiff, and I just wanted to give you a shout out and congratulate you for 1,000 podcasts. Well done. Those are great podcasts. And, you know, I'm glad that I could have had a small part in launching this podcasting career. I know you got started when you were pinch hitting for me on days that I couldn't do the Peter Schiff Show, and then you launched your own podcast. I hope at some point I can congratulate you on your 10,000th podcast. I just wonder how long it's going to take for you to hit that milestone.
Hey Tom, Judge Napolitano here. Man, you are terrific. My sincere and heartfelt congratulations on the 1,000th episode of the Tom Woods Show. May there be many thousands more.
I met Tom Woods when he was still a teenager, more than 2 decades ago, and I've ever since followed his career very closely. His rise to become one of the superstars of the Austro-libertarian movement, in particular his achievement, inconceivable in my own salad days, but made possible through the development of the internet, to reach this position not from atop some academic pulpit, despite his stellar academic credentials, but as a truly independent private scholar and the producer of his magnificent and hugely successful Tom Woods Show that is now, yes, in its 1000th installment. As Murray Rothbard would say, great Tom, what a boy. Go on for another 1,000 shows and another, always smashing the enemy. Cheers to you, Tom, and greetings from Malta.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to introduce your MC for the evening. He's the co-founder and head of multimedia for Being Libertarian and the frontman for the metal band Backwards, whose 2017 album, Veracity, reached number 5 on Billboard's hard rock charts. Please join me in welcoming Eric July.
Guess you think the truth is so boring. They get away with Wow. Was not expecting any of that. But obviously, we're all here to celebrate a wonderful, wonderful moment with Brother Tom Woods and his 1000th episode, and we're going to get into all of that. We're going to have a great time. We got a great lineup of guests. It's a lot of familiar faces that I ended up seeing, obviously, with you guys outside. I made the mistake of going out there. I was not trying to do that, and I ran into all you guys. We took all the pictures, and that was awesome. I saw that you guys already had your cups full of that liquor, and you're already feeling good. So the cool thing about the libertarian movement is that there's a lot of similarities with the rap culture. When I go to like rap events, whether it be award shows and things like that, it's a lot of similarities. As soon as you walk in a room, it seems like every time somebody walks in a libertarian conference, everybody's heads just gets bigger and bigger, and people, they're kind of bulking their chests up, and everybody, it's probably not one person in this room that doesn't think they're the most libertarian person in this room. So, and it's like that with rap culture. Again, but as I said, we have a lot in store for tonight, and yes, we're not too far from the airport, and contrary to the beliefs of a lot of leftists and a lot of left libertarians, we will not be throwing anybody out of helicopters. And I'm really excited. We have a lot of special guests, even special guests that Tom doesn't even know will be coming up here, and I'm really excited to introduce. Really excited to introduce all of those guys. But you guys aren't here to see me, of course. We're all here to celebrate this man. So I want, as rowdy as you can get, we're going to introduce this man to the stage. Please give a warm welcome for Brother Tom Woods.
Thank you very much. That really is great. Thank Eric. Great to have you here. Great to have all you folks here. And after having to reschedule because of that blankety-blank hurricane, doggone it, the thing worked out after all. How about that? Yeah. That is just great. Well, let me give you a little bit of an overview of what's going to happen here tonight. Those of you who were at the dinner already heard me say this, and I'm going to fill the rest of you in. We've got a lot for you tonight. We're going to take one intermission in between two acts, so this is not going to be some 25-minute episode with a Harry's Razor ad in the middle. We got a solid, at least 2.5 hours worth of awesome, hilarious stuff for you tonight. I will tell you also that the first half of what you're about to see is a bit, let's say, more conventional than what's about to hit you in the second half. That's all I'm going to say. And it is true that apparently there's some surprise I haven't been let in on. Goes to see, this is what happens when you delegate authority to other people. Right? The power goes to their heads. But I can't wait to find out what's going on. But I actually have a couple of surprises for you, and you will get to know who and what those are coming up in the second half. But for now, I thought it's the 1000th episode, right? So, yeah, I know, it's not really the 1000th episode anymore, but you notice how the way I coped with that was, I thought I have two choices here. Given that we had to postpone the original event, I could just do a really mopey, teary-eyed 1000th episode from my home studio. Woe is me, I have no friends here. I'm just broadcasting episode 1000, and now I'm going to go crawl in a hole. I decided not to do that. I skipped over episode 1000, and I went to 1001. And we're going to insert episode 1000 into that slot tonight. So we're going to start it off the right way. Little audience participation time here, okay? I'll start it off. The Tom Woods Show, episode 1000. Yeah! All right. Here we go. All right. So let's get cracking here. All right. I guess I'm going to talk politics a little. All right? I mean, I told you we were going to have fun and everything, but I got to talk about it a little. Because as I mentioned on an episode not too long ago, I don't know about you, but I've felt a bit demoralized lately. Because in particular, because I'm an oldster, I remember the heady days of 2007, 10 years ago, when this congressman that I knew about already, I'd been following him for years, Ron Paul, got involved in politics in the form of a presidential campaign. Now, he'd been in Congress on separate occasions in the 70s and 80s, then he went back to his medical practice, and then he went back into Congress. And I followed him after 1996 when he went back into Congress. I followed him just enough that every 2 years when there would be a congressional election, I would check to see if Ron Paul got reelected. I was not following politics at that time. I mean, for crying out loud, 1996 it was Bob Dole versus Bill Clinton. How much more rigged can a system get than that? I said, ain't no way I'm doing this. Bob Dole, with his pocket constitution he had in his back pocket, he would tell us, that apparently he kept zipped shut forever. But for some reason, even though I had no idea what Ron Paul was up to, I had no idea what he was up to, I somehow felt comforted knowing he was there. I was glad to know, whatever he's doing is great, I'm glad he's there. That's as much as I feel like knowing about it. But then there was that moment when a whole lot of us in this room first met each other, 10 years ago. We were all doing these crazy things. Like I don't know if any of you guys remember this, but there was an event in the first campaign called Paint the Town Ron. And at night, you were supposed to go around hanging Ron Paul signs and Google Ron Paul everywhere around your town. Only on private property where you got proper consent, of course. And we did that in Auburn, Alabama. And I'll tell you something, the next morning, that town didn't know what hit it. And I'll tell you something else, I have no idea how any of those signs got up there. They were there. But this kind of crazy thing went on. Or they wouldn't invite Ron Paul to a tax reform symposium in Iowa. You're not going to invite Ron Paul to a tax reform symposium, right? It's like you're having a symposium on fighting the Riddler and you don't invite Batman. So what wound up happening? He held his own event in the next room, and there were twice as many people at his event as there were for an event with 10 candidates. And we thought, what the heck is going on here? Yeah. Then in 2000, I mean, look, the fact that he did as well as he did is astonishing because look at how radical his message is. His message is basically, we pretty much got to start the whole thing over again. And people are going, yeah, okay, that sounds reasonable. Let's do that. This was a guy who he was absolutely fearless. He'd say whatever. That was what was fun about going to a Ron Paul rally, because you knew he was going to sort of give his boilerplate speech, but on the other hand, you knew there'd be some nugget he'd throw in there that nobody else would say. I remember in 2008, the New Hampshire primary, which did not turn out well, and he gave a speech that I was convinced. I turned to the people in the room and I said, he's dropping out of the race if he's given this speech. It was a speech about the CIA and I mean all these sorts of things Americans are not ever supposed to learn about. And he's just talking and talking and talking and talking. That was exciting. He didn't give Heritage Foundation speeches about, we really got to get a handle on spending. I mean, what? I mean, I'm going to slit my throat listening to speeches like this. And you know what I just found out? We waste $1.7 million a year studying peanuts. Oh my gosh. It's $2 trillion. What difference does that make? He never cared about any of that stuff. And he would basically say to you, all right, now he didn't put it quite this way. He was too gentlemanly. I don't have the same restraints. So he would say, in effect, all right, everybody else on this stage is going to talk to you about the budget, and we got to get this under control. We all know none of that's ever going to happen. We all know that, unless we have an IQ of 58, or we've just fallen off the back of the turnip truck, we know that is not going to happen. What they won't tell you about is the Federal Reserve is screwing you. Nothing. The Federal Reserve is causing business cycles in the economy. Anybody care about what causes business cycles, or are we just all supposed to sit here and think, well, I guess that just happens? We're all doing well, and then suddenly we're all doing badly. That must just be a force of nature. He wanted to know what was causing that. There must be some explanation. And he would say, if you really want to know what causes these ups and downs, you should read Ludwig von Mises, whose major treatise is about 900 pages long. And you had 16-year-old kids saying, okay, sure, yeah, where's that 900-page book? Let me get my copy of it. I remember the Mises Institute had a sale on human action, the Mises 900-page book. They had a sale on it. It broke the website. So many people were ordering this book because this, Ron Paul told me to read it. I mean, it looks like a hard book, but, he told me to read it. What am I going to do? I mean, what would you do? This is unbelievable. This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen. This was amazing. This is an amazing thing. And so when we think back on that, we think about the friendships we formed and the optimism we had. It wasn't necessarily that we thought he's going to win and all our problems are going to be solved, but we couldn't believe there were so many people who, despite being programmed to believe the exact opposite of this stuff, why, if you ever got anything about the Federal Reserve, it was why those people are the experts who are here for your own good. Or whatever it was, whether it was foreign policy, whatever, you always got my goodness, we were just standing there minding our own business on 9/11, and all of a sudden, for no reason, it was things that would not satisfy a bright second grader is what we've been programmed to believe, and to see that there were millions of people who, despite 12, 13 years of propaganda, didn't believe it. And when a guy spoke up and said, I'm going to talk to you about things no one will talk to you about, they said, yeah, tell me more. And he raised tons of money, and the best the media could do was ignore him like he was not even there. And that's when you knew he was onto something. It was eerie. He was not there. In the 2012 campaign, he was out raising basically anybody else. I remember watching MSNBC. They had Romney, then a big gap, and then all the other. And then that was where Ron Paul belonged. In fact, he had beaten Romney in that quarter, I think. Not even on the screen. If you're going to be creepy corporate media, can't you be a little subtle once in a while? Never. Incapable of subtlety. So it's demoralizing because today it's like I got to choose between, do I want death by bludgeoning or by slitting my throat? So, if you're going to run on America first, couldn't you at least do something with that? How hard is it to say, these Middle Eastern wars don't seem to have gotten us anything other than a whole lot of grief and a whole lot of wasted money. This is obvious to anyone. So therefore, the correct solution is not to keep waging them. How about maybe if we're the ones who are supposed to believe in limited government, the conservative movement, limited government, but on the other hand, they believe that the U.S. government can righteously remake an entire culture and an entire part of the world. There's nothing limited government about that. How hard is it to say, we believe in America first, which is why I'm getting us out of these, because we're going to solve our own problems first. How hard is that? I don't get why that's hard. How hard is it to just not hire Goldman Sachs people for just 4 years? Just take a 4-year breather. How hard is that? In the foreign policy, it goes to show, it's one of my new laws. One of the new Woods laws is, no matter which candidate you elect, you always wind up with John McCain. And just the other day, I saw Bernie Sanders tweeting out, I can't believe Donald Trump is insulting a great American, John McCain. How about that? Establishment Bernie, just as I said all along. I said he's going to endorse Hillary, we all know it, because he's not 1/100th the man Ron Paul was, whose arm could not be twisted. So we got to do our best then, even though we don't have a champion who is quite like Ron Paul. He's unique and unrepeatable. We got to figure out some way to keep this momentum going together. And I hope, tonight we're going to try to forget some of our troubles, but I hope we march out of here remembering that excitement that we felt and being rejuvenated and re-energized, because what we believe in is so to me, I think it's obvious, but it's also beautiful and elegant and intellectually satisfying. And it's a message that I think a lot of people are prepared to hear, because after all, who really, in his heart of hearts, believes CNN anymore? So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 1000, and thank you very much.
And we, of course, are going to bring our first guest today. He is a senior fellow of the Mises Institute. He's also an economics professor at Loyola University, Maryland. He's written some great material, author of books like How Capitalism Saved America. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Tom DiLorenzo.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Eric. It's a great honor to be here to honor my good friend Tom. As you all know, or a lot of you know, I'm an economics professor, but don't panic, don't run out of the room. I'm not going to talk for 75 minutes about ISLM curves or anything like that. I do want to add something to what Tom just said about the causes of business cycles. Is what I was taught when I was in school. It's animal spirits cause them. That's what John Maynard Keynes said in his famous book, The General Theory, animal spirits. I tell my students that's how economists talk when they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Stuff like that. But I feel like the people I'm looking at out here are all related to me. I first met Tom when I was on the faculty of the Mises Institute summer seminar with Hans Hoppe and some of the other Austrian school. We're the old timers now. And Tom was an undergraduate student at Harvard. And I've become so proud of him over the years of all of his accomplishments. And I know all of you are now Tom's faithful fans. So I feel like you're like the second generation of my intellectual underlings, as Tom once was for about a day during the Mises University in the summer many years ago. And long before there was such a thing as a podcast, Tom and I have both done thousands of radio interviews to talk about our books and things like that. I had an old friend in Baltimore, the late Ron Smith, who was on the radio in Baltimore, and he had me on all the time and to talk about kind of things Tom talks about now on economics, and he gave me the title of the Minister of Economic Truth. And this was back when the Cold War was still not really a distant memory, but it was recent memory. So it had sort of a Soviet ring to it. But my friend Ron passed away, so I'm no longer the Minister of Economic Truth. Tom is. Tom. So I hereby hand over the mantle of the Minister of Economic Truth to Tom Woods in honor of our old friend. I don't know if you ever met Ron Smith, actually.
We're in studio with him together.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I had Tom to my university for a lecture, and we went into the studio and had an interview with Ron. I also took Ron out to dinner with Lou Rockwell and Bert Bloomer when they were in town. And so just one little story about Tom. I first recognized that Tom had a real gift for playing the part of basically Toto in The Wizard of Oz. You remember the scene in the end of The Wizard of Oz? The little dog runs up there and pulls back the curtain, and there's the wizard pulling the buttons and doing all this, and he's exposed as a fraud. Of course, that's what I spent most of my career doing, too, writing all the books that I'm writing. But Tom has a real gift for that. An early talk that he gave at a Mises conference was on Teddy Roosevelt. This was on our conference on the presidency. And this is the time that I was first recognizing what a talent Tom had. And I really liked it a lot because he was kind of like me, I thought, because he was fearless in taking on an icon. And, Teddy Roosevelt at the time, in the 90s, Bill Clinton was out there saying, Teddy Roosevelt was my favorite Republican of all time. He actually said that. And then, of course, the neocons loved Teddy Roosevelt because he was half crazy like them, and he was a warmonger like them, and he was a chicken hawk like them, at the same time, pretty much. And so, and Tom gave this great talk where I still remember him standing up saying, Teddy Roosevelt was clearly crazy. And a lot of people in the audience were taken aback. He's on Mount Rushmore. And by the way, when people ask me, should Lincoln be on Mount Rushmore, I of course say no. I don't think anybody should be on Mount Rushmore as far as that goes. Sort of idol worshiping. But I would recommend Tom's article in this Reassessing the Presidency about Teddy Roosevelt. It's very entertaining. He talks about how the media loved his big teeth, especially. That's Tom's theory of why the media loved Teddy Roosevelt so much. And he did things, Teddy did things that Tom told this audience, like he was discovered, the President of the United States is discovered one morning grappling across the Potomac River on a wire, like this, on a wire. And when he was asked why he did that, he said, I decided my wrists needed to be stronger. Remember that story you told. But it's not the story is not the point, but this is when I realized that Tom had a real knack for doing what I aspired, was still working on doing, and exposing the Wizards of Oz that our political culture has indoctrinated in all of us, that we're supposed to worship these people with big stone images in Western states and memorials everywhere. That's why when I say no, Lincoln shouldn't be on Mount Rushmore, nor should anybody else, it's kind of a creepy thing, isn't it, to have images of politicians, on the sides of mountains. And speaking of Abe Lincoln, I would remind you that the Lincoln pennies you have in your pocket. When George Washington was asked by the Continental Congress if they could put his image on the money, he said, no, that's one of the ways in which the tyrants of Europe solidified their power, by putting their images on the money. But the Lincoln penny was the first American coinage that ever had a politician's mugshot on it. Before that, it was mostly like other countries, Canada, the Canadian $20 bill has one of the lakes on Lake Victoria or something like that, in the Rocky Mountains. Not everyone puts mugshots of politicians on their coinage. And so that's all I want to say for now. I just wanted to give Tom some compliments. And I really have considered him to be sort of one of my intellectual progeny, because I knew him when he was an undergraduate at Harvard, and he was a student at Harvard and then on to Columbia, and we all love him, and you're going to have a great night tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you. All right, we'll see you. Yeah, we'll see you after. Tom is going to join us for something in the second half that is going to blow your mind. I'll just leave it there. All right. Now I'm going to usurp Eric's role for a moment, because normally Eric will be bringing people onto the stage, but something tells me in this particular case it really falls to me to introduce the next person. Because the next person I want to bring on is somebody who reminds me that the show has been beneficial for me too, not only because I've learned a lot from it, but also because I've had an opportunity to form some really terrific friendships with some extraordinary people, and people I am absolutely delighted to be able to call friends. And one of those people, perhaps one of the top people I can say I've gotten to know through the show and maybe would not have gotten to know otherwise, and whose friendship I deeply treasure, is Michael Malice. There's nobody else like Michael Malice. When I first started having him on the show, I did a little poll, or maybe somebody else. No, I did a poll in my private group where I asked, suppose it's an episode with Michael Malice, what's your response? Would it be, I'm definitely going to listen to it, or I'll listen to it, but it's not going to be anything special for me, or there's no way in the world I'm listening to it. Now, most people were saying, yeah, I'll definitely listen, but there was a minority of people who just over their dead bodies were they going to listen to this guy. But then with the passage of time, he grew on them, and they said, you just can't resist this guy after all. There's just something amazing about him. If you ever see him on TV, by the way, he just kills it every single time. Because when you're on, for example, Fox Business, he's on Kennedy a lot, you don't have time for a 10-minute soliloquy They give you 20 seconds for a quick comment and then 30 seconds for another comment. You've got to be really good at that. And he makes it look easy. That is not easy. He's got these zingers. He's smashing people in 10-second bites. How is he doing that? It's unbelievable. It's an incredible talent. And if you don't get to see him on television, you can see this replicated in his Twitter feed, which you should certainly be adding Michael as a friend on Twitter. Michael has had a very successful career. Among other things, he's been a celebrity ghostwriter, as you know, and his most recent ghostwritten book that he did with D.L. Hughley was a New York Times bestseller, so he's doing great in that regard. And of course, he has a book of his own, somewhat recently called Dear Reader, the unauthorized autobiography of Kim Jong-il. He will have copies of that right back there, and not that many. So maybe while he's yammering about whatever he's talking about, you might want to go back there and grab one before they all go away. But ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure, having no idea what it's going to be like to have Michael Malice on my 1000th episode, to welcome Michael Malice.
This mic? Either one. It is a huge pleasure to be here in Orlando to celebrate the Tom Woods 1000? That's a lot, really? 1000th episode. I want to give a special thanks to Jessie, who's in the audience. Where is she? Jessie, stand up. That's the lovely lady who introduced me and Tom back in the day. Okay, awkward applause. That's lovely. So I just want to tell a little story of how Tom and I met and how I got voted to be the #1 guest on your show. That's right after, and Ron Paul, second place, not too shabby. I was part of something called the Troll Board, which was a group of anarchists and other sorts of nefarious types. Jesse suggested I should be on Tom's show to Tom after my North Korea book came out. I'd never heard of Tom, I'm sorry. And we hit it off royally. I think it's kind of like a buddy comedy. Like, I'm smart, funny, and interesting, and you've had 1,000 episodes. And incidentally, and I want to give a big thanks to all of you, because this outfit is actually a North Korean military uniform that someone got smuggled for me outside through China. So this is what we're fighting against. I mean, we can laugh and whatever, but just we have it pretty good here in the West, and it's a very important issue. And as you see people beating the war drums in North Korea, you know, keep in mind just how awful they have it. And I love being able to go from funny to get everyone suicidal in like 5 seconds. Puppet master. Okay, now I'm going to take my seat, right? Yeah, let's do it.
So what we're gonna do next, some of you guys, you might know that these guys are known for getting into some silly little argument over Hamilton. And a debate, so to speak. And so what we're gonna do this go around is that we're gonna have these guys.
Don't tell them too much.
I won't tell them too much. I'm not gonna tell them too much, but we're gonna revisit that. We're gonna revisit that whole entire debate. If I can get a show of hands, how many of you guys are familiar with that? Again, it was very popular amongst these guys. Yes, it hit off really well. But we're going to revisit that. We're going to revisit that today.
What? That's a special gift if you ever saw the video.
What?
If you have not seen the video of the debate that Michael and I did on the subject of Alexander Hamilton, oh my gosh, it's so darn good. Especially because I just beat the pants off that guy. It was embarrassing. And it was so...
Wow, you convinced your fans to vote for you. It's like Hillary Clinton. I can do this all night, Tom Woods.
Ouch.
I have a Monster Energy drink in me.
Ouch.
And the power of North Korea.
See,
What happened? What happened?
I gotta hand it to him. He's a great loser.
That's true.
We did that was a good one. We did a debate in New York City that was Oxford style, which means the audience is polled beforehand. How do you feel about the resolution? The resolution was Alexander Hamilton was a hero for the cause of liberty. And I took the negative on that one, and he took the positive, the affirmative. And then after the debate, you poll the audience again to see how many changed minds there were in the room. Now, I don't want to dwell on this part of it.
Sounds like you do. It's been a year since you won a debate.
It's been a year since I had a debate. What are you talking about?
The statement stands.
Apparently, I changed more minds than anyone had ever changed in the history of these debates. And I mean, I hate to bring that up. There's a part of me that really hates to bring that up.
Wait, and also, we were so good, they shut down the series.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. They thought there is no... And actually, the facility they had it in complained. They said that the...
Twice?
Yeah, because we had so many people in there, and that they were going to get in trouble, because it's New York City. You get in trouble for existing. Much less having a room full of people. I mean, a room full of people.
It's no Kansas.
Yeah. Oh, you're so terrible. You're just a terrible person.
Fact.
You really are you're one of the worst people ever. All right.
Number 1 guest. Number 2 host.
I don't know what that was, but that was a dramatic moment. All right, I guess I should say something substantive at this point. I mean, the thing is, there are a lot of debates and conversations that I've had over the years, and there are discussions I've had with Michael where we disagree on something, and then afterward, I really do think about what he said, and it does change the way I think a bit. I mean, I'll be honest enough to tell you that. Like, you've changed the way I think on a number of things.
Like what? The North Korea stuff, hopefully.
Well, yeah, but I was always anti-communist.
No, but understanding just how bad it is.
Oh, yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, certainly, that's certainly true. But even, let's say, you and I had a conversation in the hotel room last night about a certain person you think I should have on the show, and I think you changed my mind on that.
You're gonna get Hillary? What happened? She won the debates too. Wrong.
Who the heck show is this here? Yeah.
Wrong.
That was my answer. That was my response. The problem with the Hamilton debate is I actually spent a lot of time today when I should have been, doing things like getting Michael's cue right. I was instead thinking about Alexander Hamilton. And all right, let me review Michael's terrible arguments and try to see what I can glean from them that I can really take and, move forward with. And I get the idea that Hamilton has an impressive personal story. And in fact, Michael has even quoted on his show, You're Welcome, which I watch. He's quoted my own friend and co-author, Kevin Gutzman, as saying, and Kevin Gutzman is a Jefferson biographer. He is not a fan of Hamilton, but even Kevin Gutzman said, I think Hamilton was a heroic person. His story is spectacular. If it were a novel, no one would believe it. The article, he's referring to a National Review article, exaggerates Hamilton's personal virtues, which I think is hard to do. That's a guy on my side, so thanks a lot, Kevin Gutzman. So it's true, when you look at what Hamilton was accomplishing by age 15, it's astonishing. And then he gets a scholarship to what later becomes Columbia. He becomes the right-hand man of George Washington. And he appears, if we leave his politics aside, to have conducted himself in a way that was beyond reproach throughout his life, such that even his opponents had kind words for him, which is hard to, other than Bernie Sanders and appreciating John McCain, you don't see a lot of that today. So I get all that. My problem is I just can't accept some of what Michael had to say. Okay. Because what Michael is arguing, I made arguments about the Constitution. I said, look, the crazy interpretations of the General Welfare Clause and the Commerce Clause and all this stuff, this comes right out of Hamilton, and I don't see how you can just pretend that didn't happen. And his response seems to be, well, look, constitutions are never going to restrict.
Are you really speaking for me?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yep. Seems to be constitutions.
It'll make you sound smarter.
This isn't going well for Tom.
Oh, it's going great for me.
I told Eric he could comment anytime he likes. I may revoke that privilege.
I did not say that to Eric.
But the point is, I don't see how you can overlook that or say, look, constitutions are pieces of paper. They're not going to restrain government anyway, big deal. I don't see how else do you deal with that. We're dealing with this today. The same arguments that were made in the Supreme Court in defense of Obamacare are all Hamiltonian. They're right out of Hamilton's writing. How do we say, well, nobody's perfect? Nobody's perfect. Maybe he was personally heroic, but I could have less heroism and more liberty if he'd shut his mouth about the Constitution a little more. So I don't get that, and I want to see how you can respond to that. He was terrible on the thing that matters, which is the Constitution.
Well,
before you start, do you realize the music over there stopped? Did you plan that?
Yeah, I planned a lot of stuff.
So you wanted it to go
I planned Tom was going to pull a bait and switch. And let's talk about what Tom just did illustrates why Hamilton is such a hero. Hamilton wrote The Federalist, which to this day is being used as a textbook around the world for how a written constitution supposedly will restrain government. But as we've seen, constitutions are Sorry, I don't want to interrupt your little coffee clutch over there. Sorry, ladies. Hamilton demonstrates how, and I'm going to take the anti-Hamilton side. There's two things that are very, very good anti-Hamilton arguments. The first is, when he's in college, he's wishing, I wish there were a war. This is a very famous quote of his. And this is a theme that has remained in the right wing in a very disturbing way. Now, a lot of people on the right are servicemen, patriots, things like that. And they're loath. They think war is the last resort. But unfortunately, why am I bouncing up and down? There's so many people on the right who view war as glorious, as great, and as our first response. There's some guy on Fox named, I'm blanking on his name, Todd Starnes, something Starnes. And yeah, and when Kim Jong-un said all these awful things about Trump and America, he goes, we should rain hellfire on North Korea. It's like, okay, if I'm going to insult Tom, he's just going to come to my house and kill all my neighbors and my children, because that's the moral Christian thing to do. So I get war as a last resort, but the idea that war is the first response, I wish there were a war, is probably, I think, the worst political stance anyone can take. That's number one.
Okay.
And number two is, Hamilton demonstrates what Tom just did, which is people will say one thing in politics, and they'll swear up and down like Hamilton did to Jay and Madison, and then when push comes to shove, they're going to get their own way, lie, and the government's going to get ahead. Tom said he was going to take the pro-Hamilton side. We saw what happened. And I'm glad to demonstrate Hamiltonianism has been vindicated, and Tom, looks like you're the villain at your own event. Because, let me just say one thing, and you're going to agree with this. It is inevitable that government is about deception, deceit, and dishonesty. And it's not exclusive at all, or even especially the case in the American government. You're welcome. What you got? Are we going to duel now?
Yeah, see, now I'm regretting bringing you up from the minor leagues, to...
You mean the Mises Institute?
Why don't we stick to the topic at hand here? Right?
The one you said you were going to do and then didn't?
All right, I'll do it. Here we go. I'll do it with a giant asterisk next to it. You are not allowed to make a YouTube video out of the clip that will come from what I'm about
to say. That ship has sailed. Call it the Titanic.
All right. I'll grant the following things if I am pro-Hamilton. If I were pro-Hamilton, I would say the finances of the new America need to be unified and standardized in some way. And if the new country is to get off the ground and not be a pathetic backwater forever, and not just be 13 helpless, squabbling groups, and therefore Hamiltonian finance, whatever we may think of it today, served a salutary purpose in those days because it got us a unified currency, and it got the national debt to be acknowledged and paid off at par, as opposed to the view that the debt should be, the Revolutionary War debt ought to be discounted in some way. Instead, he said, no, the United States needs to have a reputation for honoring its obligations, and that's going to begin right now with honoring this Revolutionary War debt at par. And so that would be an argument for Hamilton. An argument for Hamilton would be, we can't, if we want to take our place among the nations of the world, we can't be 13 squabbling tribes. So the states are arenas where there's going to be, again, intra-national conflict and squabbling, and that is going to sap our strength. And if our strength is sapped, we're more easily taken advantage of by our more powerful rivals. Therefore, we need a centralized government, not because we want to interfere with everybody's liberties, but simply because we want to create security for the American people and enough safety so that we can enjoy the liberties that the people have not given up to the government. So how about that? Is that better than the first try?
Sure, and I'll make some more anti-Hamilton arguments, which is he was such a failure at politics, which I guess is both pro and anti, that the Federalist Party was destroyed, and it was one-party rule, and the Jeffersonians won, and his entire worldview was discredited by 1812.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, but...
So I think incompetence, in some sense, is a knock against someone.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Just like the Libertarian Party.
Oh. Now look, hold on. We're not taking an official position on the state of the libertarian. I have forsworn
that was
to
speaking
discuss
as a North Korean.
Okay. Forsworn to how's the North Korean Libertarian Party doing?
They get the same amount of votes as the Republicans and the Democrats.
Okay, good.
They don't. That's a myth.
All right. I'm going to call an audible and shift gears on you a little bit.
Let's do it.
All right.
Are we going to do the Q&A?
We'll do that in just a minute.
Okay.
We are actually going to do Q&A. That's also audience participation. I was going to have a reward for everybody who gets a question answered. I was going to give you a bottle of tangerine juice and see if you would recognize the reference. But in fact, somebody already gave me as a gift a bottle of tangerine juice. It's wonderful. So maybe instead, if you asked a question, you can meet me in my room later and we'll share it. Just take a swig, pass it around. What I want to do is, I think the one time, I know it wasn't a debate, but the one time I had Michael on where after it was over, I really felt like I just got slapped around, other than tonight, was when we talked about voting. Because I had people tweeting and writing to me saying, Woods, we love you, but man, Michael Malice just ripped your head off in that exchange. Because he was arguing against, the question was, should a person vote? Is it worth voting? It was something like that. And I thought you could make a case for circumstances in which it would be, and Michael just would not.
No. I said there are circumstances where it's okay. Like with the Ron Paul stuff, I was all
you weren't saying that in all cases it was absolutely immoral and forbidden, but that you certainly wouldn't do it.
Correct.
Yeah. And so we had, but I wonder if we could shift that a little bit to a somewhat different question, because I'm genuinely curious about your opinion. Okay. I'm not sure I know exactly what it is, which is, what is the role of politics in achieving a free society, according to you?
An obstacle.
I want you to elaborate on that, because there's a part of me that viscerally responds to that the same way a lot of you folks just did, but there's another part of me that thinks, it's not like I like politics, but do I want a system in which only dirtbags are voting? I mean, do I want a system in which only the worst conceivable people with the worst possible ideas are out there?
You mean like at the debate?
What, the presidential debate?
No, the Hamilton debate.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Like, a lot of times when you have people on the right and certain types of libertarians, and they say we should restrict the suffrage and let's say only property holders should vote, that's not going to lead to freedom. That's going to lead to property holders kind of having an oligarchy. So there are absolutely circumstances where some politics are worse than others. And again, value being subjective, I wouldn't begrudge someone voting, but the point I made, and a point I think you agree with, is there are so many people in so many ways you can make the world a better place. There are senior citizens who are lonely. You can foster a pet. You can be a big brother, a big sister. Or you could do what we do, which is run our big fat mouths and change people's minds, some of us better than others. And I meant both of us compared to, some others.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. And if someone wants to vote, I don't begrudge them that. What I do begrudge them is this idea that now you're a good person because you flicked a switch.
Okay. I get that a lot of people say we can get to where we want to go.
Wait, can I say my one quote, which you all better give me credit if you steal this? You can't spend yourself rich and you can't vote yourself free.
So if they had free elections in North Korea and you got to run for office and it was going to be a legit election, that you couldn't vote yourself free?
Okay. In that one exception, when I'm on the ballot in North Korea, yeah, I'll give you that caveat. Up to that, I think we're on the same page.
All right. Well, what I still don't get, we'll have to solve another day.
You got me there, man. That's my kryptonite. It's like the trolley problem, right?
All right. Well, what I do want to do eventually, though, is I don't see the steps. I don't see how you get to a free society when everybody else is out in the political world except us.
Oh, okay. We could talk about that in episode 1020.
Yeah, whenever that
Let's
is.
do that.
Right. Because you're supposed to come back on, well, whenever.
Shortly.
Yeah, next week. Yeah. All right.
Assuming we're still
wanna
speaking after this episode. Or by which I mean me taking your calls.
All right. By the way, Michael is actually worth the 7 smackers a month to go to Compound Media and watch his show.
You.
But I shouldn't have to pay $7 a month. Even if you didn't have to pay $7 a month, you should want to send him $7 a month anyway. So it's just as well. So compoundmedia.com is where you can watch.
Thank you,
You're
Tom.
welcome with Michael Malice.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay, so what we're going to do next, I'm going to hand these mics out. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you guys an opportunity to ask each of these individuals a question. Now, over here, you're going to only be allowed to ask Michael a question. And over there, it's wood. So the borders are closed right there.
No.
In the middle over there, closed borders over there. And,
What is this, the DMZ?
Yeah, that's... All right, so now the thing is you have to get up and come to the... Yeah.
All right, we got one. Oh, they're leaving. We're walking the room.
Yeah, so y'all going to have to help me out
It's
here.
like a Bob Murphy stand-up
them in the
special.
Hand this to you.
Okay, we want them in the corners so people can line
Right.
up. Yeah.
All right, so let's start with if anybody over here has any sort of questions for Tom Woods.
Oh, I can't imagine anyone would have a question.
Oh,
after
yes,
1,000 episodes.
They
Is
can
there,
ask
is there
me a
something I
question.
haven't been clear enough about? What? All right, what is it?
Like a lot of people in this room, I support the Constitution. My question to you is, how do we get people interested in this solution of reinstituting the Constitution in the United States?
Who are you asking, Tom or me?
Oh, this is a Woods
Tom's
question.
side. It's a Woods question.
Yeah, you're banned.
Remember, the borders are
You're
closed
banned
over
on
there.
this one. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, so starting in that corner, you can go up and ask him. Okay. So, for a long time, I used to ask the same question. How do we get back to the Constitution? I used to ask the same question. And yes, if we got back to the Constitution according to original intent and all that, that would be a vast improvement. I would be all in favor of it, and then we could go from there and make things even better. I would be all in favor of that. And I use constitutional arguments sometimes because I think it's beneficial for the public to see these people don't even obey their own document. It's beneficial for the public to see that because that's a great pedagogical device. The public learns something about political regimes. They draft a document and then they don't obey it. That's useful to teach.
It is.
But the question would be, even if we could get back there, which I don't see, the problem is there are so many vested interests that have no interest whatsoever in a limited government. There are entrenched bureaucracies that have no interest whatsoever in a limited government. There are constituencies out there in America, the vast majority of whom, if you explain to them what limited government meant, would be appalled. I mean, they would start, with fisticuffs if they knew what you wanted to take away from them. So it's extremely difficult. So I'm afraid that it's almost like a superstition that if we just have a piece of paper, we might be able to restrain people who have no possible interest in being restrained.
Right.
If people have a lust for power, no written formulation is going to hold that back. Because even if we had somehow rephrased the General Welfare Clause, it just wouldn't matter. They'd think of some way around it. My episode on the myth of the rule of law is very helpful here. You get super clear about, Congress shall make no law, and there are still 27 interpretations of the First Amendment. So, yeah, it would be better to go back to that, but I think we have to think maybe these things just don't work. Maybe what we're observing is not some weird aberration about the way written constitutions work, but maybe this is the logical outcome. Maybe this is where they're bound to go. So maybe instead of strictly constitutional arguments, instead we just say, I believe in liberty as opposed to power. I believe that a society can order its own affairs, and it does not need a regime like this. That was what began to get me thinking that way. And I felt like every time I argued, let's get back to the Constitution, I felt like I was being a chump, that I was being laughed at by people who thought, look at this guy, he wants to get back to the Constitution. Because that still has a naive view of politicians, and I just can't buy into that anymore. Just can't buy into it. So that's my sort of answer. Okay? All right, we'll try and be much faster, right? Can you beat that in terms of speed? Can you beat that answer in terms of speed when your first question comes up?
Let's find out.
All right, let's go ahead.
Oh, so you're just going to hog all the mic time? That's how it's going to work?
Yeah, more or less.
Michael, I enjoy your various haircuts. Have you ever considered copying Tom's?
Oh, I can give a quick answer to this one. No. It wouldn't be copying, it would be an homage.
All right, well, that was a good one. Over here.
So your guest here convinced me that Hamilton is superior to Jefferson in his views on humanity, mainly from his episode where he brought up this Jefferson quote where he was upset that Hamilton did not believe you could have a government that wasn't corrupted, and Jefferson did. Given that the Constitution is based on all of Jefferson's ideas and his, let's say, completely indefensible argument that all men are created equal, which nobody believed until that point in time, how do you think we base a society off someone who thought government could be uncorrupted, and that's like the entire structure for our system? Because you've dodged the Jefferson debate with our guest here.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll just say that
you just earned a free book. I heard nullifications on clearance. I'll get you one of those.
But look. The quick answer to that is that the 18th century definition of corruption is not the 21st century definition. It doesn't mean somebody's on the take, or people are being bribed, or somebody's trying to influence a regulation to benefit himself at the expense of his opponent. That's not what corruption meant. So it was a different...
It had a meaning that was a positive meaning, corruption?
Well, yeah, well, in a way, that's what Hamilton meant by it. That's what Hamilton meant by that. It had to do with things like rotten boroughs and whatever, but it didn't have to do with people who were being bribed or whatever. So I don't know. If you're saying that how can we respect or want to abide by a system that was developed by a guy like Jefferson, first of all, I don't think, first of all, all men created equal is in the Declaration of Independence anyway, and the Declaration of Independence does not have any legal force.
Oh, come on.
It does not have any legal force. It's declaratory, and that's it. So the Constitution is altogether separate from that. But anyway, what's to be admired about Jefferson is simply that he favored decentralization, which Michael doesn't, because he thinks decentralization means you have 50 governments instead of one, and if you don't like government, you should want one government instead of 50. But I'm not sure that's the right gamble to take.
Well, we took the other gamble and look where we are. Which is ambiguous, because we're in a pretty good place.
Yeah.
Okay,
all right.
we got a next question.
Yeah. Hello? All right. Hey, Michael, you're the same person on Twitter and real life. That's amazing. Most people are different. You're a character of yourself. It's great. I love it. But say hi to my Snapchat. I want to ask you, Michael, a question. I think, Tom, you touched on this.
Well, if I'm the same person on Twitter, that's me muting you right now.
This is...
Blocked and reported.
This is exactly the response I wanted.
Well, you got it.
Okay, Tom.
You're asking Tom a question? What is this?
No, I'm going to say, Tom,
wait, I told you
mentioned
the borders are closed now. We can't be over there.
Tom, you highlighted this in your first answer. Michael, my question to you. He was talking about maybe a great way to talk to people on the right. I know you live in New York City. It gets weird up there. I've been there. It's not
Weird is
Kansas.
just what boring people think interesting people
No,
are.
I love it up there. I'm saying, I'm sure you have a lot of leftist friends or
Sure.
acquaintances. How do you talk to them about liberty? Like, what are your terms you use? For me, I've found a lot of success just using different terms. I mean, a lot of them can logic, but
This kind of piggybacks on what Tom was saying about voting. I don't get into arguments on a personal level because I'd rather have a friend than someone who agrees with me politically. Because when something happens, God forbid, my family or something at work, I'd rather have someone I can call and be like, I'm in a bad way, than someone be like, you know, I agree with you about the Constitution. You know what I mean? I can call Tom for that. So I think one-on-one is a very tricky thing. If they like my writing, that's fine, but I'm much more interested in stopping people from imposing their views than in persuading them of mine.
so you would direct them to stuff you've written or interviews and stuff instead of like making it a personal debate.
I can't remember the last time I got into it with one of my leftist friends. In fact, my leftist friends like what I do in the sense that it helps them understand that not everyone who is opposed to them is literally some kind of, you know, Confederate Nazi white supremacist, as if those terms are synonymous.
Thank you. Did I get on the show? Am I on the show?
On what show?
The show.
Yes, you're asking a question. Do you know how this works? Do you think you're a vampire who's invisible on camera? Where do you find these people? I guess the support. Okay, go ahead.
The thing is.
He asked me a question. What are you talking?
Yeah, but you're all done.
Now it's time for your question.
I'm the host here. I can say what I want. Let's just go to the question.
Smart man.
All right, hey, Tom, Mike, Barrick, thanks for all you guys do. You guys have changed my life for the better with your thinking. And Eric, taking the culture back, that's awesome. If you guys haven't bought Veracity yet, speak with your dollars. Let's change the culture. It's an awesome album.
Thank you.
So, yeah, backwards. So I taught English in China for 2 years, and you know, before I went, I wanted to become more conversant on the culture, read a little bit about the history, and it's chilling to me some of the comparisons between like the Cultural Revolution there and the way there were public shaming sessions and things like that, and I just wonder, like, if we do follow suit like with Europe and we pass hate speech laws or some kind of thing on that, like what does our world look like? What should we be doing now, if anything, to prevent that? And what does an adjustment after that happen look like? How likely is it in your mind to happen?
Well, I will say that there is, after I just said this thing about constitutions are superstitious, on the other hand, the First Amendment has a kind of a strong purchase on the American mind. There's no getting around that. It's having less and less of one with some people, but still people feel like that is fundamentally what it is to be American. And I think they partly believe that because it's written down. So I will concede that. And whereas they don't have this type of, they don't have as entrenched a protection of freedom of speech in some other countries that we're familiar with. So I think it's less likely to happen here, but certainly there's momentum building for it. And so what should we be doing in the meantime? Well, I can say what I personally do. I think some people feel like in the meantime, the more obnoxious we can be, the better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah. I was trying to keep you out of this, but I think you know the sort of people I mean, right? Because this way, I got an ad running on my phone. I think I'd like to commit an atrocity.
Is it for Harry's?
Yeah.
Which I still use and brought with me.
That's right. So I believe I probably get like $100 for you just saying that.
100 smackers.
Yeah. But what I basically have been doing is, like for example, last weekend I was at the Republican Liberty Caucus event in Melbourne, not too far from here. And there were a lot of people in that room. It was not the usual demographic that I have. These were much older folks than you spring chickens. And a lot of them had not heard of Jordan Peterson, never even heard of who he was. So I mentioned him, and I talked about that, and I mentioned this on a show recently with Dave Smith, and I said, he was on this television program in Canada, and he had all these people against him, including a gender studies professor, and these people are prepared to throw him in jail because he won't use the pronouns that he's supposed to use with his students. And so the host turned to him and said, Professor Peterson, are you prepared to suffer the consequences the likely consequences of your actions? And he said, yes. And the gender studies professor said, are you open to learning? In other words, this former Harvard professor, probably who specializes in the psychology of gender, probably just doesn't know enough, and he just needs to be educated by me before we put him in jail. So are you prepared to suffer the consequences? And he said, yes. And he said, probably the Human Rights Commission is obligated to bring me before it. And if they fine me, I won't pay it. And if they put me in jail, I'll go on a hunger strike. But I'm not doing this, and that's that. And I feel like that person is speaking about something that goes way beyond pronouns. And that person who's standing up against the whole world of fashionable opinion, that one person who just says, I won't go along, needs to be highlighted, celebrated. The word about him needs to be spread. And the fact that he now earns through Patreon $65,000 a month, congratulations, well deserved.
Amen.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Well.
My name is Derek. I'm actually the chairman of the Libertarian Party of Orange County, which is the county that you're in right now. And
we're in California? I thought my paper said Orlando.
No, believe it or not, Floridians have grown an orange or two in our day. So
that doesn't sound right.
So I self-identify as a minarchist.
Minarchist?
Pragmatically, yeah, I don't pronounce it correctly. But honestly, philosophically, I'm an anarchist, and I definitely, when I communicate with the people that I'm around, I feel like the message of anarchy and what I consider the end destination of the libertarian philosophy is kind of like a northern star, or I often say like before we had GPS on our phones,
Yep.
Boats used a star to navigate. They never actually physically landed on a star, but
right.
Without it, they floated around aimlessly. So
sure.
So you sound supportive. So that was my first question: was do you feel like that's a good way of sort of communicating anarchy, but still being present in politics as a leader like I am? If you felt like that was productive.
I don't think politics can be productive by its nature. I think it can only be destructive.
Okay.
I'm not being pedantic. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and I'm not going to argue that. So I guess my question is, what do we do in the meantime? Because if that's the end goal, and that's the utopia that we really want, and we're so damn far away from it, my reconciling of this, and I think maybe some of us, I've got a Ron Paul shirt on here. Many of us support that.
Who is Ron Paul?
Yeah, exactly.
The guy who came in second on the list of favorite guests of the Tom Woods Show.
Oh.
Yeah.
Here's my point. My point is, if we want to take the boat that far, if that's the end goal, but let's get to the Ron Paul America first.
I don't agree that it has to be a straight line. And I would point out that 99.9% of our relationships and interactions are anarchist ones. Everyone here is behaving under anarchy. The times you have to call the police are very, very few. And what I always say is when people are like, well, if it wouldn't be for the police, we'd all be killing each other. It's like saying, well, if it wouldn't be for exorcists, we'd all be possessed. And it's exactly the same kind of thinking. So I don't know how we get to anarchy, but the only thing that I've seen that works is technology. And the technology has, if you keep people from being unable to censor you, which the internet has done, and things like Patreon, if Jordan Peterson doesn't have to worry about getting fired, and he also doesn't have to worry about getting his message out there, then unless they're willing to literally put him in jail, Soviet style, and I'm saying this wearing what I'm wearing, we have it pretty good, and it's getting, in my opinion, I hate it when people call me a cynic. I think life is wonderful. I think we're all very blessed, especially those of us in America. And I think that things are getting better and better, and their shrillness is a function of the fact that they're losing control of the gun, and they don't know what to do about it. That's my sincere belief. And as proof of this, 20 years ago, this could not have happened. I couldn't be in this outfit that someone smuggled through China. I'd never even met the person. He lives in California. We couldn't have had this event. That there wouldn't be such a thing as a podcast. Every element of what's happening today is a function of technology and freedom. So let's keep that perspective and keep that in mind, in my view.
Awesome. So we have time for maybe one last question for Tom, if you want to ask it just really quick.
Okay, that was great. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Tom. Awesome
Orlando.
here. Thank you for having me on a couple episodes back. Appreciate it. The food was great tonight. Wanted to talk to you quick question, because I saw a podcast recently with about Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, and I think that one kind of thought school that has been overlooked in the liberty movement is the Stoics.
Yeah, did an episode with Pat McGeehan on the Stoics.
Yeah, that was my question. Has there been more episodes? And if there's only been one or a few, can you do more? Because I think it's kind of like a pre-Cambrian libertarianism that's so overlooked. And not that it's wrong, it's just very old.
All right, thank you. Let me say that, first of all, I love all the diversity of folks who listen to the show. And I love that we're all secret dorks, but we won't admit it.
Yes.
You are a dork, okay?
I know
It's
I
okay.
am.
It's all right. But the fact that somebody is asking me, Tom, would you please do more episodes on the Stoics?
I can't help that I'm a nerd.
Makes me happier than anything I've heard tonight. That's astonishing. Well, because I'm going to be having Professor Casey on to talk about his 817,000-page book, probably about 817 more times, we'll get to the Stoics. So just be patient. I mean, it may be...
Have some stoicism.
Maybe... All right. That's it. Eric, you got to just... I can't keep up anymore. I surrender. But by the way, the beautiful thing about Michael is that, not that you have done anything other than be respectful toward me, but being abused by Michael Malice is part of the experience. Like when you meet him walking down the hall, if he just kind of, flips you off or something, you think,
that's so gauche. I would never do that.
Yeah, no.
I'm not going to acknowledge someone.
I don't mean in the vulgar way. I mean in
Okay.
some clever way. People say, yeah, that was what I was expecting to happen. That was awesome. So great. All right, what do you say, Eric?
Awesome. All right, so we're going to take about a 15-minute break. I believe it's 9:15, so about 9:30 we're going to come back. Go back there. We got a lot of merchandise back there. I might go back there and say what's up to a lot of you guys and get some more liquor in your body, and we'll come back. Again, you have to come back because we got some really, really good stuff when you get back. So,
oh boy.
Again, got 15 minutes, and we'll bring it back.
All right. Good job. Well done. Eric and I are actually going to start our second half by just doing a little chit-chat, because not everybody knows Eric, and I want you to, because he is a great guy. He's a fighter for all that is good and true. He showed up yesterday. I met him for the first time. He was wearing a Murray Rothbard shirt. Come on. We were at Denny's until 3 in.the.morning last night. You, me, and Michael Malice, and man, was that fun.
That was fun. That was really fun.
That was awesome.
That was absolutely
fun. I paid for everybody, of course. Right?
That's why it was fun. That's exactly why it was fun.
He flies here from Dallas. He gets one meal at Denny's. That was the deal.
That's my compensation.
All right. Now, listen, I do want to say something about Eric's band. Now, Eric has merchandise back there. Do you have any taxation is theft merchandise?
I believe so. I saw somebody out here with one of the shirts. So, yeah, we got all kinds of merchandise back there, so be sure to cop that.
That's good. So Eric's band, Backwards, has an album called Veracity. Are we familiar with this in this room? This guy got onto the freaking Billboard charts. So that's what made me decide. I actually said to him, when I called you up, I said, Eric, I am not just trying to, butter you up. I said, Eric, you are literally the coolest person I know. I mean, how could I know a cooler person than you?
Well, I mean, a lot. Again, I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd that went out there and supported us. And we never really anticipated for the album to do what it did. Came from us. He out there representing, holding up the shirt. From some of you might know, I've been doing this music stuff for a long time. I was in a previous band called Fire from the Gods, and you know that's another band that's out there. We were doing our thing, signed and whatnot, and I left because I wanted to be a part of a project in which I controlled all the music, owned everything from the publishing on down to the masters and everything like that. So for us to I guess the work that a label would do, we ended up doing ourselves, and it was a lot of work. And we really never before we knew it, we had sold like 3,000 albums, and it was like, okay, this is gonna be something legit. And we creamed pretty much it was a lot of bands that released, huge bands like Mastodon, Body Count, bands that have been out there for years that released on the same week, and we were right there with them in terms of sales. You know what I mean? So that was, it's a really a big shout out to everybody in the Liberty Movement. But it was also, it kind of goes to show how it's a market for this. There's a lot of people ask me, how do I get into doing what you're doing, infiltrating culture? And I'm just like, just do it. You know what I mean? Like there's a market for this stuff. People actually want to hear it. They're tired of hearing the same old garbage that's put out there. Pretty much every band, definitely in music, it leans left heavily to the left. And usually when they oppose government, it's on some like edgy teenager kind of stuff. You know what I mean? They don't really oppose what the state does. We saw that a lot of them came around Bernie Sanders, who was an admitted socialist, wanted to expand pretty much every aspect of the government, and they came around and were supporting him. So it was just, it was an honor for a lot of you guys to come out there and show some love and really support us. And really, we're self-sufficient. We're funding ourselves, and it really meant a lot to us for sure.
Well, bear in mind, Eric got onto the Billboard charts with an album that has a track on it called Praxeology. Not to mention, and this I found out this was Eric's idea, and again, we'll know who's in the know in the room by this. There's also a track called So to Speak. Okay? Now come on, you gotta go out and get this thing. All right, why don't we have a seat and
absolutely
maybe you can tell people what we're about to do.
So a lot of you have seen maybe on the internet this kind of trend of people doing all of these jokes, these really bad corny jokes, and the person that laughs, obviously the other person opposite of them gets the point. So what Tom and I are gonna do, we're gonna do a dad joke off, and we're gonna say these jokes, and we'll be keeping score, and we're gonna see who's gonna come out on top. I like my chances, though.
But since I
like my chances.
Oh, get out of town! Are you kidding me?
I like my chances.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. Look, this is gonna be vicious, man. Now, since we're participating in it, though, we can't do the scorekeeping, so we're gonna need some special help for that, aren't we?
Yes, we are. I want you guys to, you hopefully you've heard of him if you've been following this guy for as long as I've been, following him. Again, this is the 1,000th episode, and the first guest of his show just happened to kind of roll through town, and we're gonna have him come out here. He's been around for a minute. He's the founder of the 10th Amendment Center, and we're gonna bring him out here. His name is Michael Boldin.
Michael Boldin. Surprise! There's your water.
Okay. So this is the dad off, right?
Oh.
I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. Token over here doesn't even have a kid.
This is. We're keeping it PG over here. See, you're no way you're gonna win this. Look at you. All right, I already get a point.
All right, you guys know the rules. We're taking turns. Tom tells a joke. Eric laughs. Tom gets a point. Tom tells a joke. Tom laughs. Eric gets a point. Well, whatever. I'm keeping track. Whatever I say goes. I'm actually an authoritarian. So, all right, let's do this. Tom Woods, you go first.
Okay, here we go. All right. I'm going to start with a good one. Okay, here we go. These are terrible, by the way. All right. Did you hear about the kidnapping at school? It's okay, he woke up.
Let me see your face, man! No point, no point. Token, you're up. Hey, man, we all know Woods didn't sign the petition. There's more coming, Tom, more coming. I love you. All right, Eric, I love you too.
What do you call a fake noodle? An imposter.
Cracking a smile, no laugh. Tom Woods.
I saw a sign, watch for children, and I thought, that's a fair trade.
Eric, wait for me. You're up.
Want to hear a joke about paper? Never mind, it's terrible.
That's a point! That's a point! That's a point! What I say goes!
I am playing this under protest. There is no way that's a point. All right, that's it. Vicious now. That's it. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, Tom, now.
A badly behaved boy at school won't sit down for the substitute teacher. Teacher says, sit down. The boy says, I don't have to sit down. This is a progressive school. You can do anything you want. So she killed him.
Do I see a child? No, you can't talk.
That's pretty intense.
Oh, okay, good. 1-0.
It's 0-0.
How does a penguin build its house? It glues it together.
Okay, good. Where did Napoleon keep his armies? In his sleeveys.
Don't try to hide it. Don't try to hide it.
Look, right, gotta look right here. Right here.
He has laser eyes like cops.
All right.
I wouldn't buy anything with Velcro. It's a total ripoff.
Is that even a dad joke?
I refused to believe my road worker father was stealing from his job, but when I got home, all the signs were there.
Oh yeah, 1-1. We have a tie game, folks.
How many apples grow on a tree? All of them.
Oh, that was a chuckle. I didn't even get dinner at Denny's.
That was legit. Two dyslexics walk into a bra. They thought it was funny. They thought it was funny.
This graveyard looks overcrowded. People must be dying to get in there.
You should be executed for that one. All right. That was a polite laugh, by the way, not an actual laugh. All right.
Seriously, Tom?
Here we go. What do you call a kid with no arms, no legs, and an eye patch? Names.
That's out of line. What do you call a fat psychic? A fortune teller. Get it like fortune?
2-1. 2-1.
All right.
You're up.
I asked my North Korean friend how it was there. He said he couldn't complain.
Very true.
That was a good one.
What do you call a Mexican who has lost his car? Carlos.
I think he's holding it together. That's pretty good, Tom.
A son said to his mother, "I'm not going to school today. I got 2 good reasons. The teachers hate me and the kids hate me." And the mom said, "I got 2 reasons you should go. You're 50 and you're the principal." That's a joke from North Korea, actually, that Michael Malice taught me.
What did the grape do when he got stepped on?
I don't know.
He let out a little wine.
I would laugh if I weren't under pressure not to. Okay. Oh. I remember the first time I saw a universal remote. I said to myself, this changes everything.
I don't think you can cover your mouth when you do that. I'm going 2 to 2.
No,
That's
no,
a
no.
foul.
He gets a warning. He should
That's
get a warning.
foul.
You should get a warning. All right, go ahead.
2 goldfish are in a tank. One says to the other, "Do you know how to drive this thing?"
My wife told me to stop impersonating a flamingo. I had to put my foot down.
Did you guys see what I just saw? You guys did see that, right? It was like 3 to 2. I love you, Token, but you got to follow the rules. I'm going to keep hitting that one all night. Sorry.
To the man in the wheelchair that stole my camouflage jacket, you can run, but you can't hide. Get it? Because he's in a wheelchair, he can't run.
Oh, 3 to 3. Boom, big comeback.
Okay, all right. Where did Mary go after the explosion? Everywhere.
It's pretty dark. Pretty dark.
That's a dark one.
That's a dark.
Yep. Pretty bad dad telling that joke.
Did you hear about the restaurant on the moon? Great food, no atmosphere.
No, you have to try harder than that one. I was at the ATM and this old lady asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her over.
4-3. Let's do some rapid fire here, guys. You guys are pausing a little too much.
Okay.
Eric, you're up.
Dad, can you put my shoes on? No, I don't think they'll fit me.
Tom.
Mommy, can I have piano lessons? Of course not, stupid. Your hooks will scratch the keys.
Eric. I don't like him either, Eric. It's cool.
What do you call an elephant that doesn't matter? An irrelevant.
Do you know the last thing my grandfather said before he kicked the bucket? Hey, how far do you think I can kick this bucket?
Whoa.
So stupid.
5, 2,
I know it's stupid.
3.
That's the thing. That is the thing. That is the worst complaint you can make about one of these jokes. That is the point.
He already bought you dinner, man. You don't have to give him these freebies.
Very true. Want to hear a joke about construction? I'm still working on it.
I may
Rapid.
laugh just out of pity at that one. Okay.
Fair enough.
Why couldn't the man in the hospital feel his legs? Because he had no arms.
We're at 5-3, folks. Eric, you're up.
Why don't skeletons ever go trick-or-treating? Because they have no body to go with. Because they're skeletons, man.
Oh, that is another point for Eric July. Give him a hand.
It was the explanation part that got me, because they're skeletons. Yeah, I get it.
5-4, Woods, you're up.
Okay. How do snails fight? They slug it out.
Almost had me.
Because
there.
they're snails. That didn't work.
No.
Didn't work. It works for July. It doesn't work for me.
I just watched a program about beavers. It was the best damn program I've ever seen.
Oh, we got a tie game here, guys. We got a tie game. The pressure is on.
That's terrible. That's so terrible. Are you running out? All right. Okay. I told my wife she drew her eyebrows too high. She seemed surprised.
That's pretty good. The shovel was a groundbreaking invention. No?
No. Because it's a shovel and it breaks
you know,
ground.
It breaks the ground, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. More of a description than a joke, I think. What did the horse say when he fell over? I've fallen and I can't giddy up.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a solid one. I just did you a solid.
Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in this field.
Believe me, I understand the joke. Yeah. Okay. All right. How about this? All right. I should be going faster.
5-5, Tom.
My grandfather has the heart of a lion. The zoo won't let him back in.
It's okay. Pretty sure everybody and their mama has heard this one. I'm gonna say it anyway. What do you call cheese that isn't yours? Nacho cheese.
Yeah, that's a good one. I guess I have heard that. Okay. I don't want to do that. No, I hate that joke. Okay. What did the buffalo say to his son as he left for school? Bye, son.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know, the rotation of the Earth really makes my day.
Oh, that's cool. It's more clever than funny, though. That's the problem there. What did the pirate say on his 80th birthday? I matey. It's supposed to be bad. That's the point.
Dad, did you get a haircut? No, I got them all cut.
Oh, no.
I don't really even understand that one, but you know, maybe you might laugh and.
No, I won't. The idea is that a haircut, maybe they meant that he got a single hair
Oh,
cut.
okay.
You get it now?
Yeah, it makes
Do
sense.
you
Makes
feel like
sense.
laughing now?
No, not really.
No.
Not really.
Tom knows this one really well. He's experienced.
That was perfect. That was yeah. Do you feel like laughing at it? No, not really. That was perfect. Okay. Say what you will about deaf people.
Watch that hand, Eric. Next time.
Whenever the cashier at the grocery store asks my dad if he would like the milk in a bag, he replies, "No, just leave it in the carton."
That's pretty good. Yeah, I think I saw where that one was going, though.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
the problem there.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book on anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down.
That's very clever. Yeah. Very clever.
Yep.
Well, I'm running out here.
I hope you're running out, because these
You
are
guys
terrible.
are tied.
Man, we
Come on, you got to laugh at something. What do you think I'm paying you a free meal for, if not to throw this game?
Tom doesn't buy Denny's for anyone.
Do I get penalized if I laugh at your jokes?
Yes.
Okay. I can do another one if you like.
It's almost like I said all of mine.
Oh, you think you're all done?
I think I
Do
might
I get
be.
extra credit because I have a couple more jokes?
Whoever has a joke, use it.
Go for it.
Okay. Oh, these are all terrible. What is a cannibal? Fed up with people. You see, I'm running out of the good ones. They're all gone. Oh, how about this one? What does dad say when his daughter has an allergic reaction and mom wants to go to the ER? Now, let's not make a rash decision.
Here's one I haven't used.
Oh, good. I bet this will be a great one.
Why couldn't a bicycle stand up by itself? It was too tired. Like,
Oh!
I think I'm the winner. I won this, right?
We have a point for Eric July.
All right, look. Okay, if I could just explain myself for a minute. What made it funny is his explanations. Like this time it was with his finger to explain what the joke meant. That's what did it. That's what did it. Well, congratulations, man. That was well fought.
Thank you.
Well fought.
Thank you. Okay, so while we're still up here, we're going to actually jump into another game. And this time I'm not actually going to be participating. You get to sit down.
Oh, I shouldn't have been picking on you at all.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to get you back. So there's that. So this game is called Box of Lies, and how this works is that basically wherever the boxes are, which I don't even know where the boxes are.
I don't know where the that was the lie.
Yeah,
Actually, Tom and I are going to have a boxing match.
Has anybody ever seen this game? Because we're about to do this. Anybody ever seen the game Box of Lies? It's on the really? Well, I love it. They're libertarians. They're too busy reading libertarian theory to watch television. That's good. You can just leave it. Right? You want to just put it? Okay.
Okay. Which side are you
Oh.
You're on this side.
I'll be on this side.
So this
No, you're going to be over here so that this thing blocks it. Okay.
Michael, I need you right here, please.
Okay. So we can't really see what's in each other's box because it's blocked by this thing, okay? So, do you remember how this game is played? I do, but if you want to explain it, Mr. I just won the joke off. It's your privilege.
All right, so basically what's going to happen is they're going to grab something out of the box. It's really simple. And they're going to explain it, and the other person has to guess whether or not it is a lie or not.
Yeah, am I really describing what's in the box, or am I just making stuff up? And it depends on how well we know each other, right? Can we tell? Now, we can look, make sure that if I want to be able to look over at you and see your body language and face, but I don't want to see what's in your box, okay?
He's over here cheating already, man.
Yeah.
What? It's a competitive advantage.
No.
All right, who gets to...
Free market game playing.
No.
What the heck are you doing? Stop that. Put that phone down.
So, Tom, do you want to go first?
I do want to go first.
Awesome.
What is in this box? Okay, I'm going to hold it up so that...
You showed it to me.
What?
I saw it.
You did?
Go.
Are you just making that up? I think you're
Am
just...
I lying or not?
That's not how the game works.
You're a terrible person. All right, I'll do it like this so that maybe can the camera pick this up a little bit? Okay, everybody sees what's there? Okay. All right. I have a grapefruit with
liar.
My initials carved into it, and a small Canadian flag sticking out of the top.
He's lying.
You think I'm lying? Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
You are a terrible person. I am indeed lying. Darn it! It was a little kid on a horse or something, or a llama with a hat.
Eric, what's the score here?
Darn, I should have told the truth about this ridiculous thing.
I believe it's Boldin 1, Woods 0.
You never would have believed this stupid thing. It's got googly eyes even. Why didn't I say that? Darn it. If I lose 2 games in this whole thing, that's it. You're going to do in the third segment by yourselves. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, jerk. What's in your so-called box?
Do you know how many lines I have for that? All right, I have a dildo here.
What rating do you think this episode has?
You said the only thing Oh.
There's no way I can run a Harry's Razors ad on this one.
Okay, I've got a pregnancy test and some, ladies' pads.
Okay, that is a complete lie. That is an impossibility. There's no way that...
2-0!
Wow. That didn't go too well for you, Tom, at all. That didn't go too well.
Have more boxes been brought up?
I don't have another box. I just won. All right, and our next segment was going to be...
Oh.
We got more boxes.
More boxes are coming, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, how could I lost both rounds?
Yeah, it's not going too good for you. This is your show too, man. It sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
I told you not to invite me.
All right, we got boxes. You did not tell me not to invite you. Stop that.
I did.
You were begging to come to this thing.
Oh, yeah, true.
For like months, please. But I said, all right, fine.
I'm
but
like, just cut Malice, bring me in.
I said, you can come, but I'm not telling anybody you're coming. That was our arrangement.
Hi, RSP.
Oh, okay. All right, there we go. Oh, okay. All right. All right, it's
We
my
have to
turn.
be funnier? I've been amazing. Oh, he's the one that made a joke about
So what you got, Tom?
I don't know. I don't know.
I like this guy. Who is this over here?
Okay.
I love you, Rich.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'm going to need you to look away while I do this because it's a large one, and I don't want you to. I'm going to hold it up for the audience. Okay. Okay, you ready? Don't look yet. Don't look. How about closing your eyes or something? Yeah. Gee, how could you see through that? Close your eyes. Close your eyes, cheater. If he turns, he forfeits.
I got you.
This is what I got. Okay. All right. So. There we go. Now you see what it was actually, okay. So it's a catcher's mitt with a wig. It's very coarse.
It's a what?
A catcher's mitt with a wig glued onto it.
What color is it?
It's coarse. Well, a catcher's mitt.
Liar.
See, Boldin didn't play baseball growing up, so this is all new to him. It's blue, of course, like all catcher's mitts.
Final answer.
That's your final answer?
Oh, yeah, it's actually a dustpan with all kinds of weirdness and a headband on it. So, yeah, I did lie about that. But again, why would I? That'd be a great one to tell the truth about. What the heck's the matter with me?
You stumbled when I asked the color, Tom.
See, the next one, he thinks
Don't
I'm definitely
answer
going to be lying.
questions.
So now I got to tell the truth about the next one, but then he knows I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But how could he know both? I mean, all right, go ahead. What's your thing? Go ahead.
It's taped. Ooh, Amazon.
Ridiculous.
Heather Woods, Harmony, Florida.
It's supposed to be I thought catcher's mitt was reasonable.
Oh.
What color is a catcher's mitt? I mean, what kind of person asks that question
Oh,
like
my
that?
goodness. This is... It's, are you looking away? Okay. It's basically a true-to-life bust of Tom. Whatever you say, you are screwed.
Yeah. It's exactly what I was thinking. That's impossible, so you must be lying.
I believe...
Sorry.
It says TW on the bottom, so whoever created this said Tom Woods. I think, what is it, 4-5 to nothing?
That's tough. What?
Oh, it's gotta go to the judge.
Should we give him a point for that?
All right,
no?
All right.
All right, so no
see,
point.
there's some disagreement here in the
No one
audience.
wants
No
the
point, no
California
point.
interloper to win a point. I'm cool with it.
Oh. All right, how about the next one is worth 5 points?
Oh, the game
No?
is... I have the rules right here. Eric calls for break, 15 minutes, ending the first half.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, let's get the new
Go get
boxes,
the new
please.
boxes up.
Oh, this is horrifying. I cannot believe I've lost 2 games in my own thing.
Is this over? I won? I won!
No, you have not.
No, not yet. Not
You
yet.
have not.
yet.
I could make a comeback, even though I don't think we have enough boxes for it to be mathematically possible. So we're going to do like double or nothing. Oh, here we go.
Are these the last of our boxes? All right, so it's double or nothing then.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so now it has to be, for the last round, you erase the scores.
Yep, double or nothing.
And you start all over. That's little Sarah Woods, age 3. So. How could you even want to play a box game after that? All right, come on. So is it? So I go next.
Yep.
All right. All right. It's like a metallic. Hold on a minute. Just let me show it to the audience. Dinosaur with googly eyes glued onto it, and it's got.
I'm just going true. I can say whatever at this point.
Yes, of course it's true. All right, look. For the sake of completeness, we are doing this one. Sit down, we're doing it. For the sake of completeness.
Could I please have a score count here, Mr.
Well,
July?
it's double or nothing. So if he gets this wrong, he loses.
No, that's not what I agreed to in my rider.
Yes, you did.
Wait, there's another box?
And where are my 84 green M&Ms anyways to do this gig?
Oh, statue. So since you were up, what we'll do is if he gets this wrong, we'll open this one. Tom will.
I don't care. Whatever.
All right.
All right, let's do this.
All right, go ahead. What is it? What is it?
It's a pig on a stick. Like an arrow or something.
Whatever I say is going to be wrong. I'm going to say
Go for
true.
it, dude.
Am I saying true? I'm saying true.
Oh, bring it! Yeah! I love him! You lost, but that was really good.
Was that what it was?
Yes!
Oh.
So now the pressure's on you.
This is like the most horrifying ordeal of all time.
You think it's fun for me?
All right, look, as the host.
Boring.
As the host, I'm entitled to the bonus box.
Honestly, we're friends.
Yeah, Mr. Guest number one. Man, that was a
Wow.
mistake. All right. Okay. Okay, so don't look, okay? You remember how this works? So it's like some. Oh, I guess I see what it is. It's like a gorilla's, like, what do you call it? You call them claws or paws or hands or whatever the heck a gorilla has, and then in between, it's like a toilet paper roll in between two gorilla hands. Yeah, it's that.
What's the score? I'm up like, what, 5-1? Or did we give him a second
No,
one?
if you get this wrong, you lose.
I don't care.
That's the new rule.
I didn't even get Denny's.
That was your own fault. I didn't know where you were.
I was texting you all night. I'm like, Tom, really, I'm here. 3 hours later, and Mike Meharry still hasn't picked me up at the airport. Someone get me, please.
Sorry, I don't know why your texts weren't coming through. All right, anyway. Am I lying? Am I telling the truth?
You're an honest guy, true.
Yes, it's true, you jerk.
In
fact,
so Michael wins.
I'm
So Michael
sorry, I
wins.
beat you.
You deserve this as your prize. Congratulations to Michael Boldin,
He wins.
who is going to be dispensing toilet paper more stylishly than ever before. All right, well, Eric, while we put these things aside and underneath the table, why don't you start to describe to the good folks what is about to happen? Because
This is where I leave, right?
you could stick around.
This isn't about me?
You can stick around.
Yeah, I'd stick around if I were you.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the first night Tom ever met me, the phrase was, Michael Boldin is an insane narcissist. I learned from the best. Who really does throw an honorary event for themselves?
Wait, hold on a minute. Wait. wait, Michael. Eric, would you just tell people what the heck's going on? Because I don't even know at this point what the heck's going on.
What we're going to do is, and I really hope that you guys don't take this personal, but we are going to have a roast of Tom Woods. Now, as I mentioned, please do not take this seriously. This is a roast, and we ain't gonna be funning around. Like, you're gonna hear some offensive stuff. So don't take it to heart. But we're going to bring all of our guests that were here to participate in it. Tom DiLorenzo. We're also going to bring, of course, Michael. This is gonna be so good. Michael Malice. Well, Michael's not. He chickened out. He chickened out. So I guess Michael's not going to be
back up
doing it. But we have another Michael. I guess the off-brand Michael to my left is he's going to be in it. And we also have a very special, very, very special guest that we haven't even announced. And kind of this was like last minute because I really didn't know until I got here that he was here. But I'm a huge fan of this guy. You've probably heard me on his show. The last couple of weeks he's had like the top selling comedy album on iTunes. And you know, we love this guy. We have, and again, this was kind of a surprise to me. I'm surprised that he took time from his busy schedule to come out here and hang with us losers. And we have, of course, Dave Smith. Dave Smith. Participating in this here roast. So again, and this almost isn't fair for him to be up here because, you know, he does this, but we're going to have him up here. And, of course, we got Tom DiLorenzo as well. So I'm going to have, of course, Dave go first because, again, this is what he does. So just don't go too hard on him, please, man, because, again, this is too easy for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dave Smith.
Oh, thank you. I almost just broke my neck here. All right, this is weird. I don't like the intro that this is what I do, and then it sets the bar high, like I'm supposed to be better than all of these people. And what I do is I call out everybody who I think is ridiculous. And now you put me here to roast the 4 people I think are intellectually consistent. So I don't know how, this isn't my expertise, but thank you. Another round of applause for Eric July, who's been hosting this thing today. How great is that guy? Eric July
if you roast me, I swear to God, I was not supposed to be participating in this, but I'm gonna play a game. Let's go.
I am roasting everyone here, including audience members who are unsuspecting.
So I guess I'll sit up here. Go ahead.
Listen, Eric July is an unapologetic libertarian. He is also the front man for Backwards, because nothing says non-aggression like a black guy screaming at you. I follow Eric on Facebook like all of us do. It's unbelievable. Eric says all the things that the rest of us wish we could say, you know, like the N-word. Come on. Guys, we're all a bunch of N-words, am I right? I don't know what I was thinking neo-Confederate. Eric doesn't hold back. He'll argue with Black Lives Matter people all day. He'll go right at them. Eric, you've gotten under the skin of more black people than sickle cell. Yeah, it's a roast, and I'm a professional comedian. I'm sorry. This is what we do at these things. We don't. Michael Malice was up here earlier. How incredible was Michael Malice? How quick-witted is that guy? It's like you can't even beat him, unless, of course, he's not on stage to respond. You know, a lot of people say that Michael Malice is just a condescending snob who thinks he's better than everybody. Michael, don't you listen to those people. They're just bitter and jealous and absolutely correct. Do you know that Michael will not attack other ANCAPs or libertarians? That's true. He will not waste 1 second. You will not see Michael Malice waste 1 inch of column space on that nonsense. Michael Malice wrote an article about his abs. It's the end of that joke. It's just all true facts. That's just what that guy values in his career. Michael Boldin is here, everybody, a hero in the libertarian movement. Michael Boldin started the 10th Amendment Center. If you're unfamiliar, the idea is to use the Constitution to protect our liberties. Other running titles were the Unicorn Institute, the Fairy Tale Center, and the Who Could Possibly Believe This Would Work organization. All right. Tom DiLorenzo is here. Tom, thank you for taking time out of shitting on Abraham Lincoln to be here tonight. Tom famously went on Morning Joe and triggered everybody. He got like 3 words in the whole time. Maybe it's not an easy sell to tell them that the great emancipator was a murderous asshole. I don't know. Tom's next books will be Martin Luther King Unmasked, The Real Rosa Parks, and his next title, wasn't sure that would go over. I know there's a lot of Christians here today. This is unbelievable for me. I'm just thrilled to be here. Jeff Dice is in the crowd, everybody. Jeff Dice. How unbelievable of an event is it when Jeff Dice is just here? I know he wasn't a part of the event, but he will be signing dog whistles after the show. Come on. It's gotta stay topical. You know, of course, a lot of heroes are here. Some people couldn't be here. I think Ron Paul's house has been turned into a moat by a hurricane or something like that. Judge Napolitano wanted to be here, but he was busy being relevant and accepted. Leads to a busy schedule, evidently, if you're not. Okay, what do we got? Hans Hermann Hoppe actually called the hotel and asked that we all be physically removed. But there's no word yet on whether that's coming true. So I just hang tight on the announcement. Oh, Jesus, what else we have? Robert Murphy. Robert Murphy could not be here. We were all hoping he would. He's, of course, Tom's partner. You know, in 2015, Tom wrote Real Descent, and Robert Murphy wrote Choice. Tom lost a ton of weight that year, and Robert Murphy wrote Choice. A lot of libertarians have lost weight, right? Like Tom got thin, Judge Napolitano got thin. Bob Murphy, I don't know what's going on with him, but he's making no progress whatsoever. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are like, oh, maybe that's just because he's lazy. No. Bob Murphy is such a good Misesian that he understands that even sitting on his fat ass is, in fact, action. This is the only room where that will ever work. That joke will never work in another room, so please give this to me. It's all I have. I try to do jokes for normal people every day. They will never get that. All right, what else did I have? Robert Murphy, Tom. All right, I think that's, all right. I'm gonna move on to, of course, our honored guest of the night, the hero himself, Tom Woods, everybody. Tom Woods, come on. He's been getting beat up all night. And that's, Tom, you are the most important voice in a movement destined for failure. Tom, do you ever think to yourself, what would my life look like if I had not met Murray Rothbard and read that Hans Hermann Hoppe book? Let me tell you, better. Better and more successful. Tom thinks he's making money. Compare your salary to like anyone in the mainstream. Like, you made the wrong choice, dude. You're here with 300 maniacs on a... All right, I'm happy you did it. Tom, you are the Oompa Loompa of the Liberty Movement. This feels a little aggressive, I know. The guy's my hero, but I'm doing what I can. Tom wore a suit to this event. He doesn't usually dress up, but this is his best try. So, you know, Tom, you are to fashion what Nick Sarwark is to libertarianism. And that's really... I wish Michael Malice didn't write that last joke and it didn't get my best reaction of the night. All right. Well, look, I will say this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. That everybody on this stage is a hero of mine, and not just that, that every single one of you guys in the crowd is a hero of mine. Thank you so much for coming out to this event. Thank you, Tom, for 1,000 amazing episodes.
Thank you, Dave.
Eric, you want to bring somebody up?
Well, I thought you guys had that figured out. I mean, y'all need me to walk y'all through this? Like,
Yeah.
y'all don't understand how this works?
See, he already got the check, so he's figuring it
Yeah,
out.
I'm already
man. I
out of
think-
here, man. Like,
Yeah. He got the free dinner. Now, you still need me?
I guess we can have off-brand Michael come.
There you go.
Come do his.
Yeah, we
little-
do need you to
his
walk
roast.
us through this. Yeah, and if you think of
I'm on
anything
clearance
nasty to
at
say
Target
about
right
Dave,
now.
Give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Yeah, this is what you do. You always start with a professional comedian to go with the losers afterwards. Let's start with something easy. You know where Tom Woods is not gonna try to sell you a Bluehost plan? Would you bust these people in? I didn't get one single answer. Just a bunch of chuckles. Soros brought you guys here. Oh no, it's libertarian, so that means free food. Let's try it again. You know where Tom Woods won't try to sell you a Bluehost plan? Wrong! Such a place does not exist. On the Contra Cruise, everything is sponsored by Bluehost.com/Woods. Karaoke, Bluehost. Shore excursion, Bluehost.
Terrible person.
In case you missed it, my name is Michael Boldin. I'm the least famous person here. My claim to fame is one thing alone. I am guest number 1 on the Tom Woods Show. You guys got that right? That's first. Before Rockwell, before Ron Paul, before Jethro Tull, before DiLorenzo and that other guy. If you thought that sucked, wait till what comes next. See, this is where the amateur hour starts. I'm not even a professional comedian. Me and the other guy are just here to take the chairs out after you guys leave. Tom, honestly, how many books have you written?
I'm afraid to answer, but it's 12.
Is that the real ones or just the ebooks that you usually get people on your email list? All right, so 12 real ones plus Mein Kampf, that's 13, right?
What?
I am gonna back that up, I promise you. I don't really want to pick on Tom. I love the man. He's my friend. He's a giant for liberty, even though he doesn't look like it. Seriously, though, 1,000 episodes, incredibly amazing. It takes an unbelievable amount of work. I know no one here has heard my own podcast that I did a few years ago. I did 2 years of podcasts, and I only did it once a week, so like 100 episodes, a tenth of what this guy does. And I was like, screw this is absurd, the amount of work that it takes. And over the years, Tom has become such a good friend to me. He's an inspiration. So I think, I should just give Tom a call. We're friends. And then I realized I don't really need to. I'm on his email list and he writes me every single freaking day of the week. Dave in the back, AV guy, you got us a little image number 1, right? Dave? Sorry, I gave you no warning. Hopefully it's the right picture. I don't see a picture.
Thank God.
Oh, right. I'm with Woods. This is an image of Tom from a few years ago. He's, doing a speech. This is what he does. He's amazing. I made this meme. Tom often talks about come to your friend's defense. I made this meme to share with 10th Amendment Center, which has a much larger following than Tom's Facebook page does, because I wanted to come to his defense and say, you know what? I am with Woods. We're all with Woods. No joke here. I love the guy. I support him. Now let's get something juicy, Dave. We got image number 2. You want to know what happened with Nick Sarwark? The man was right. Nicht mehr versteckt, Obergruppenführer Woods. Thomas. Don't let him pretend he does not know the tongue of the fatherland. Okay, all joking aside, we all have to say something loving, right? Tom's podcasts and emails and books and emails and blogs and emails and speeches and emails. They've influenced an incredible amount of people. And I think most, if not all of us here, recognize that Ron Paul is the guy that brought the message of liberty really to the mainstream. True? And I'm definitely not trying to be funny on this one, but if there's a tier 2, like a second wave, it's this guy right here. He's leading the charge, spreading the message better than just about anybody else out there. So, yeah, let's give him a hand. I'd say Tom is doing so good spreading the message of liberty, we could all very easily start emulating him. Tom, you and I were on a panel together. I was kind of the nobody. Tom gave a speech for the Mises Institute at an event in San Diego earlier this year, and Tom gave a great speech. You should watch this, talking about some practical things you can do for liberty in your own life. But there's one thing that you missed, Tom. It was the intro step that we can all take right now. This, if you want to advance liberty, follow Tom. Sign up for a free Twitter account. Find some schmuck Antifa person with a maximum of 280 followers. Argue with them for about 6 hours about child labor laws, and boom, we're done. So every time I tell somebody I was the first ever guest on the Tom Woods Show, it's pretty amazing, right? It's pretty cool. It's a claim to fame. Someday he's going to have 10,000 episodes. You are going to have 10,000 episodes. And at some point, people are going to be like, how did this guy get started? And they're going to look back, they're going to find episode 1. And they're going to think like, oh, wow, well, clearly that's why it started off so awesome, right? Guess again. Here's the real story. Look, Tom, we all know he's incredibly talented, he's incredibly smart. The guy could sell a Harry's razor to a guy with a beard. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Knowing Tom for 8-9 years now, and having a lot of experience in audio and event production and things like that, when Tom started the podcast, he didn't have a clue what he was doing. So what does a smart guy do? Well, for example, I'm in the process of moving to a new apartment back home in LA right now. So I've been calling all my, what do you guys call them libertarians, but back in my country, in California, we have a different word. They're called unemployed. Whoa, don't attack the crowd, Boldin. Don't attack the crowd. So I call all my unemployed friends and say, man, you should really hang out on my couch. I know I haven't been really cool with couch surfing over the years, but you should. And then once they get there, I'm like, oh, dude. Yeah, so I'm moving. And that's basically what Tom did in episode 1. He brought the schmuck on, and if you want the real interview with a zombie, it's right here. Hey, a little self-deprecation. But that brings us to tonight. I would like to say that it's an honor to be here, but this is fake news. It is not. No one wanted this gig. No one. Let me tell you the backstory. You guys like all the inside scoop on the Wood stuff, right? Well, I got a lot of juicy stuff that I am not sharing. First, Tom asked Michael Malice. Michael wasn't going to touch this second-rate comedy gig without less than 50 rider requirements, and I hear he's actually working on a new book. Michael, I'm really excited. You're writing a book about how you lost the big debate about Hamilton, but I know you really, from what I heard, you've got to come up with a new title. There's another Hamilton lover who's already used it, called What Happened? Next up, Tom asked Murphy. Bob wants you all to think he had a faculty event. Really? This is weak, but... Bob had a karaoke competition. He has this amazing rendition of Love Shack ready to go. So option number 3, right? Wrong. Tom has another friend that I heard about. His name is Christopher Cantwell? I guess they're good buddies from the League of the South days or something. I don't really know. And Tom asked him, and he got a collect call from the guy, and he's like, dude, I can't make it. I'm on total lockdown this week. See, a professional does not laugh at his own jokes. What were you, like 526? Number 1, 35 is like the 34th loser. 526, what the hell is that? I mean, so Dave and I are roommates. You guys didn't know this, did you? Roommates on the Contra Cruise next month. So, when I tell you that when Dave needs a really big number, it's an issue, let me know. As his roommate, I can tell you it is a real issue. Ooh, sorry. So, for those of you who enjoyed this, thought there were a few fun things that maybe I said, I definitely cannot take credit for anything that was funny. I spent a little bit of time with my lovely partner, Sarah, talking about some jokes. Also, my great friend and coworker at TAC, Mike Meharry, and his wife, Cynthia. In fact, once we all started chatting in like 30, 40 minutes, we were able to come up with a bunch of jokes, and it only took like 5 or 6 index cards. Wah, wah. And for those of you who think I suck, including myself, you may have just witnessed the first bombing that Tom can't blame on the neocons. I love you guys.
All right. Of course, we have one more, and then we'll have a special guest come up, Tom DiLorenzo.
These guys are good, aren't they? Hey, they could even make money at it someday. Maybe. Keep at it. I happened to be there when Tom got one of the first reviews, was reading one of the first reviews of his book, The Politically Incorrect Guide to American History. And boy, man, the neocons were up in arms over the things he said about the Civil War. And they started calling him a neo-Confederate. Tom's response was, what do they mean neo? What's that about? What is that anyway? But I thought I'd do something. Anybody can make jokes about Tom. You look at him. But so I thought I'd give you a little bit of history, share a little bit of my history. When Tom first showed up at the Mises Institute in Alabama for Mises University when he was an undergraduate student, Murray Rothbard was a little suspicious of him. After all, he's coming from Harvard, Ivy League. How many students did we ever have from the Ivy League? They're well-known, they're all a bunch of pack of Marxists and leftists coming out of the Ivy League. So we were naturally suspicious of anybody, especially since at the time, Harvard was the very first school to set up a free speech guideline book after they discovered some young freshman student from South Carolina had a Confederate flag in her dorm room. And so they started political correctness there. And here comes Tom, and we had a few people who came to this who weren't interested at all in economics or Austrian economics, and they were kind of spies. They just wanted to be able to claim that they had been there, and then they would make stuff up. They would say these horrible lies about Murray Rothbard or Lou Rockwell or me or somebody. So we're kind of suspicious of this. So we didn't really trust Tom. He'd come from the Ivy League. Then he gets there and he tells us that he wants to go to graduate school at Columbia, and he has an interest in the Civil War. So Murray Rothbard asked me to look into this guy. I mean, is he on the up and up or what? So I dug up some of my old notes that I prepared here. So I know here's Tom. He wants to go to Columbia University to go to graduate school and study history. He's interested in the Civil War. Who's the big Civil War guy at Columbia? Is Eric Foner. And so I look up Eric Foner. This is who Tom is going to be learning from, maybe writing a dissertation under. That's why he's going there. So Eric Foner, the first thing I read from Eric Foner is he says that all of his other scholarship had been inspired by Marxism, but he regrets it was not Marxist enough. That's a true story. And then at around the same time, this is the early 90s, Foner publishes an article in The Nation magazine called Lincoln's Lesson, in which he opposed the breakup of the Soviet Union. The whole world was celebrating, rejoicing, getting drunk, the Soviet Union collapsed, and here's Eric Foner saying that's a bad thing. And here's some of the things he said. He complained about an obsessive need to write the history of the Soviet Union. People were actually writing the awful history. He didn't think, as a historian, he didn't think that was a good idea. He wrote that the Communist Party USA is a cultural front that helped to redraw the boundaries of American freedom. Communist Party USA. This is in The Nation magazine. He called it a crisis, the breakup of the Soviet Union, a crisis. He said, no leader of a powerful nation should allow such a thing as a dismemberment of the Soviet Union. And he criticized Gorbachev for not being more like Lincoln. He was saying the Russian people need a Lincoln now more than ever, but they're stuck with Gorbachev. And he said the Soviet Union, like the American Union, should be considered a permanent government, and he hoped Gorbachev would agree. And so this guy, is way out there, and we were worried that this is one Tom wants to be his mentor. But shortly thereafter, we found out that Tom was a good guy after all, once he was maliciously libeled and smeared by the Southern Poverty Law Center. So once, in fact, I've actually put that on my resume because I've decided it actually helped me get a better job if I go in the job market. I've been continually maliciously libeled and smeared by the Soviet Poverty Lie Center, as I call it. But what really convinced Murray Rothbard that Tom was one of us was when he was also maliciously libeled and smeared by one of the stranger-looking neocons with an even stranger name. He was a Russian immigrant named Max Boot. And so once he was on the target list of Max Boot, we knew he was one of us. And of course, he was and he is and always will be. And he's surpassed us, and he's done more for freedom than any of us who were his teachers 25 years ago at Mises University. And he's still got a few years in him, too. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to share this little true history with Tom.
All right. If we can, just give a round of applause for everybody that participated in this roast. But before we allow Tom to come up, we have a very special guest that's going to come up. He is not in on this. He has absolutely no idea who is coming up. This person indeed wrote their own jokes. So if they could come up to the stage, this is going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to this. You know who this is?
Oh,
Do you know
no.
who this is?
Oh, no.
You know who these people are?
No way. You want to come around this way? Use the microphone, or do you want to use this? I guess you guys know who this is. These are my daughters. Let's get the microphone on for them, please.
My dad says driving 30 minutes to my friend's house is too labor intensive. So we just cruise around the Bahamas instead. I guess Dad needs hearing aids. Whenever I ask him where he earned his credentials in economics, he can't seem to hear me. Dad has trouble remembering things, so we bought him a parrot. Sadly, it backfired. It just repeats the same garbage he does. My dad started watching his weight, which means he's on a new diet. He's down to just 3 donuts a day. My dad's having trouble selling tickets on the Contra Cruise because his listeners are afraid they're going to win yet another ebook. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad usually buys. My dad usually buys off-brand groceries because he says you can't taste the difference. Hope you enjoyed your dinner. We had to ask the builder if he could lower the doorknobs for Dad's new house. I think you know why. If you're interested in Dad's new biography, it's over at the book table, and it's called The Very Hungry Caterpillar.
When my dad gets ready for the day, he doesn't need a hairbrush because he has no hair. When my dad goes for a drive in his new BMW, he can't go as fast as he likes because he can't fully reach the pedal. My dad's too short, so he can't pee in the toilet.
What? What?
This is brutal.
I discussed with my dad.
Sorry about that. Okay. My dad says that we give him gray hair, but we all know it's from his Miss Salon appointment.
I would like to note that I
Give a
gave
round of
birth
applause
to
for Tom's
these
kid, please.
geniuses.
Thank you very much.
Of course, we're bringing off-brand Michael back to the stage. Of course,
Off-brand Michael?
Yeah, off-brand Michael's coming back. But this is the guy that we've obviously came to see. I just want to, before he goes up and roasts everybody, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for bringing all of us. It's a cool opportunity to obviously meet all of these guys and link up with guys like Dave and people that we chat with all the time. We do all of these podcasts, but I sincerely mean it when you are really leading the charge and you put out so much good material that I can give to my mother, you know what I mean? Somebody that, wouldn't listen to me yell in her face and talk about the stuff that I talk about. I can send her your way and you can say the same principles really eloquently. So I really do appreciate it. You've been a huge inspiration for guys like myself and pretty much everybody out here. So big shout out to you. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Woods.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You have got to be kidding me. I did not know about that last part at all. I cannot believe the things that go on when my back is turned. Amazing. Well, Eric, I recommend you don't share this episode with your mother, if you follow what I'm saying. All right, well, the thing is, it's hard for me to roast people because I'm a decent person. So it is too bad, honest to goodness. This is not a joke. Bob Murphy. Most of you know Bob Murphy. He's my partner in crime. We have a podcast together. We've done a lot of stuff together for a long time. And he was going to be a surprise guest at this event. But instead, I had to settle for Dave Smith and Michael Boldin. But Bob is the master of the roast. He's tremendous, and it would have been wonderful to have him here, but he had to stay home practicing the pronunciation of the word nuclear. And had to get tailored those clown suits that he walks around in at these different conferences, so couldn't make it today. So. All right, I got a little stuff for you guys. I got a little stuff. Can't promise a lot, right? I got a little stuff. I'm going to save Dave Smith for the end, all right? We'll start with this jerk, the old Jeff Spicoli of libertarianism here right next to me. I mean, my gosh, if you listen to Michael Boldin talk, it's pot, 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 pot. Marijuana, marijuana, weed, 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 weed. He goes to conferences, he goes to Second Amendment conferences, and he tells these gun people that they're a bunch of wusses because the weed people are willing to defy the law. Why don't you be more like these weed smokers? Yeah. And so, you look at him and you think he must be he just looks that way. He'd never touched the stuff. That's just how he looks. Yeah. Speaking of how he looks, Donald Trump looked better in that Kathy Griffin photo, I think. Oh, that's a terrible, totally uncalled for, absolutely uncalled for thing to say. Very wonderful thing to have Tom DiLorenzo here with us tonight, a real privilege. Trying to pay him, the guy hates Lincoln so much he won't take $5 bills. I held a penny up to him once. It was like a crucifix in front of Dracula. The guy hates Lincoln so much he went to a play the other day and shot the actor. Had his birthday party at Ford's Theater the other day. Tom DiLorenzo. Oh, yeah, that was a low blow. You don't know low blows, my friend. All right, who else here? Who else am I forgetting? Oh, Dave Smith. Hey, Dave, how are you? So, you had the #1 album over on iTunes. That's great. Yeah. I got Dave's new comedy album, or as I call it, a coaster. Dave's on Fox News once in a while. Fox Business, gets on Fox News once in a while. Watching him try to explain something is like watching someone try to play a violin with a cheese grater, which incidentally he does for 16 solid minutes on his new album. Yeah, Dave's a wonderful guy. Dave combines all the friendliness of New York City with all the runaway popularity of a libertarian fringe thinker. Now, Dave's album is not #1 anymore. It was #1 for a while. It's now #2, or as I like to call it, the William Weld position. But let's give Dave credit where it's due. His album was #1 on iTunes in its category. Of course, the category was waterboarding. All right, that's all I have to say to these guys. Thanks to them. Eric, come on back up. Now that I've got you all right where I want you, the most miraculous thing about this is that this is precisely the very minute I plan to end this event. It is insane. I don't know how we maintain that. But I want to say, before you all get up and head on out of here, I want to say some very important thank yous. First, thank yous to everybody on the stage and off the stage. Michael Malice, Eric July, Dave Smith, Michael Boldin, and Tom DiLorenzo. Excellent people. I am so glad that they are having the success they are having. Couldn't happen to a better bunch of guys, and I'm so glad they were able to come help me put this on today. Of course, to all of you, I am deeply grateful. Some of you came from great distances to be here. I am especially with the rescheduling, it was a nightmare for a lot of you, and I'm very grateful that you did it. Of course, everybody here at the Rosen Center has been great. All the volunteers I had have been great. My daughters, whom I am not going to roast back until I talk to them later. I am very, very pleased that they were able to take part. They are a tremendous light in my life. I would like to thank Mark Cross, who is the event planner extraordinaire, who's planned a zillion events. He helped make this possible. Great man. But honestly, look, I have 5 girls, and people think that, they like to joke about that, but honestly, I don't know where I would be without them. They are amazing and wonderful, and they surprise me with things like this, and it's a delight to spend my life with them. And I want to also say something about their mom, who played an extraordinarily important role in putting on this event. This would not have been possible, and some of the great ideas we had for things to do were her ideas. She worked tirelessly on this under very difficult circumstances, and she is largely responsible for how wonderful our daughters are. She's a tremendous person I've learned so much from, and I'm so grateful to Heather Woods. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, you are officially dismissed until episode number 2000. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks a lot.
We'll be out front. Tom will be signing until 12 a.m., so be sure to come holler at us out there. Big shout out to everybody for coming out. Thank you so much.